since Vince McMahon undermined the very big event Starrcade, which was really the granddaddy of them all. Most folks remember this. Starrcade was from 83. We didn't see WrestleMania until 85.
Yeah.
So this big closed circuit pay-per-view type wrestling event, this is really before pay-per-view, but you get the idea. Starrcade was there first. But once pay-per-view started to become more of a thing, WrestleMania became the brand. And I'm curious from your standpoint, Rick, when you saw that happen in 85 and you had all the pomp and circumstance of Madison Square Garden and the Rockettes and Muhammad Ali and just Madison Square Garden, did you think, it's okay, but not for me? Or this is an experiment, but it'll be a fly by night. He'll lose money or it won't make. What did you think of the original WrestleMania concept?
I was, obviously I didn't have time to really look at it that close up, but I was happy for those guys. I didn't, I knew Hulk pretty well. Of course, I knew Roddy Piper was, one of my closest friends in the business. And I knew Orndorff real well. I knew Bobby Orton. So I was happy for those guys. I've never looked at it as being anything that was bad for the business. I was so proud of the fact that I was the NWA champion, and then of course then the first WCW with that belt that you have. Um, that I didn't regret any decisions I made because I was invited to come up there in '86 the first time I think, and I couldn't leave Crockett and I couldn't leave my friends, the Four Horsemen, and it was I wasn't stressed out about it all. I was happy for them, but there's some untold stories that we'll talk about later on about how Vince was able to make the payoffs for that WrestleMania. And so that's just a story for another time because
I am.
Crockett figured into that. Trust me.
Oh, in a big way. We'll
Yeah,
talk about that, and maybe we'll get into the business because there's been lots of
sure.
rumor and innuendo about the way he funded WrestleMania, but we'll talk
Yeah,
about that
yeah.
as you down the road. But at least for now,
That was a big payroll hit for him, man. I mean,
oh yeah,
when you're paying T and Hulk and Roddy and Orndorff and Orton, I'm sure that they didn't get the same money that Roddy and Hulk did, but Liberace, Muhammad Ali, was a lot going on that night.
it was a big gamble, and it certainly paid off.
Yeah.
WrestleMania became the brand, but that really leads us to where we are with what we're going to be talking about today. Because once they sabotage Starcade in 1987, you guys have a return act, and the idea was Crockett had to go to a lot of these talent and say, "Hey guys, forget the dolls, forget the cartoons, forget the lunch boxes." And I know we'll never have a show as big as WrestleMania because at this point, WrestleMania 3 is in the rearview mirror, and buddy, it was the watershed moment in the industry. Such a huge opportunity for licensing, not just that live gate, but just the
Mhm.
impact it had on the business at large. But what Crockett does is he says, guys, here's what I'll do. I'll put you on a guarantee and we'll start paying you based on the houses. And if we don't make this total number at the end of the year, well, we'll make it up to you. But the way we'll be able to make it up to you is we won't have one big pay-per-view event a year. We'll have four. So that was actually Crockett's idea first to have more pay-per-views than just the one WrestleMania. Of course, Vince created SummerSlam and he created Survivor Series, and eventually he more than caught up. But Survivor Series was really created largely just to mess with you guys. And so when you guys do your January event, Bunkhouse Stampede, you don't just decide to run it all anywhere. We're going to run it in New York.
Yeah.
Uh, and when you run it in New York, well, what does Vince do? Well, he counter programs you. Now, the pay per view companies won't play ball here because they've realized, wait a minute, we're the loser here. We're trying to sell as many pay per views as we can. We're not going to pick sides. We can't let you run a pay per view that same day, Vince. So Vince creates the Royal Rumble just to
Yeah.
sabotage Bunkhouse Stampede, and he gives
Yeah.
it away for free on USA. Well,
Yeah.
now turnabout's fair play. Of course, everybody knows WrestleMania 4 is going to be a big happening. It's going to be at Trump Plaza, which is a big new building in Atlantic City, and they're going to make the Macho Man Randy Savage, and it's a big opportunity. But Dusty and Jim Crockett decide, nope, now it's our turn. We have a special event that's not a pay-per-view, and we're going to put it on TBS, the Superstation, where everyone gets it absolutely free, and we're going to run heads up at WrestleMania. This is really the first time Dusty and Crockett said, okay, enough's enough, right?
Yep. Yeah. I don't know if that was what the thought process was because I wasn't, as involved in the political process of that time. But I knew that we were going head up to them, and I just I was like the way I approached it, I was excited to be part of it. I
It's
mean, kind of like I told Ashley. I mean, I've been to main event, I think, on 10 Starcades, right? But really, if you look at it compared to Ashley being the main event of 2 WrestleManias, what in my day it was big, but you can't compare to what she's doing now.
well, I
I'm
don't
not
think
changing the narrative, but I mean, yeah, it was huge for us.